My amplified unit. It is indeed time to wake up, and get amplified. The Amped Up Podcast with BC Amplified for Thursday, April 13th, 2023. To my amplified unit, red team, go! And my gold card members, activate those cards now, man, because we have a packed show coming up today. We are cross country right now on a 6-day traveling expedition. So this is literally audio format, only straight up traditional podcast. But there was no way you guys were not going to get content. No way you were not going to get a podcast today and going forward. No matter where we are in the world, you guys are going to get amped up. And I said we got a packed show. I don't say that lightly, man. We're going to talk about Wembley Stadium, August 27th, AEW putting on that big, massive event, All In. And the big chatter in the wrestling community is, how many asses can Tony Khan truly put in those seats? Well, Chris Jericho has just taken that conversation to the next level, and it has fans even more fired up. And there's even a bigger debate now that Chris Jericho has lit that son of a bitchin' conversation ablaze. He has added fuel to that fire. We're going to talk all about it, guys, and what it means for Tony Khan. How does he put those asses into those seats? It's all about who you're bringing to the table, who's coming to the dance. Who are you promoting? And that has names like Phil CM Punk Brooks and Jeffrey Hardy, to name a few. Careful with that. This is why people say you're running a sloppy shop. Certain people that many deem should not be in those locker rooms. We're going to talk all about it. What is right? What is wrong? What is needed for this event? This is going to be a big conversation. It needs to be had. What better time? What better place than now on the Amped Up Podcast, Thursday, April 13th, 2023. Man, BC is ready to rock. Also, we're going to talk Wardlow and Powerhouse Hobbs. They had a big angle last night. Some parking lot segment going on there. Man, BC loves when you take it to the parking lot, get creative, even if it's a scenario we've seen 1,000 times, like a car getting destroyed. The problem BC has, well, you know what? When we get to that segment of this podcast, you'll know my beef with Powerhouse Hobbs and Wardlow. Even though I love the segment, there's a big issue at play here. And I think a lot of you guys are going to feel the same way as BC. We'll go over that from last night. We'll also discuss the latest on Bray Wyatt and Alexa Bliss, what BC is hearing for their future. We'll talk about that as well. NXT took another big, massive blow last night, man. A big hit that NXT had to take last night. It is sad to see what is going on over there because everybody tells me, even my right-hand man, JR9 Gaming man, that it's a good show. People are just not giving it a chance. So when I hear things like that and I see what I'm seeing, when I hear what I'm hearing, it sucks for NXT, but we do have to talk about that as well coming up. So it's a packed podcast, as I said. There's only one way to start this thing, and it's with one of the biggest stories in the pro wrestling world. What is BC talking about? We'll get to that in just a moment. We're going to kick off the show with one of the biggest, man, it's such a highly talked about, discussed debate right now. We're going to talk about it, but first, my entire unit, whether it's the red team or my gold status, everybody needs to smash that up right about now, man. Give it a sharpshooter. Make that like button tap out if you got to. Give it the Batista bomb. Give it the pedigree if you got some super kicks. If it's a Young Buck super kick. You want to give it a HBK Sweet Chin Music. I don't care what it is. Oh, Superman punch. A crossroads. What? A leg drop. What? The Ultimate Warrior press slam. What? The Macho Man flying elbow. What? The Benoit headbutt. What? The Eddie Guerrero frog splash. Whatever your move of choice is, smash that up. Help out the algorithm. BC's across the country, and I'm spitting, I'm shouting, I'm getting amplified for you guys All you need to do, free of charge, doesn't cost a damn thing, is smash the damn up. That's all I'm asking. All right, enough of that business. Now we get down to the true talk. The biggest story in all of pro wrestling. We're going to tackle it right now. And that, of course, was the Logan Paul renewal of the WWE contract photo, was that photoshopped? Oh, come on, man. We're still in April. Let BC fuck around a little bit. Of course, I'm having a little fun. That's not that much of a serious topic. But since I want to start the show up, because we got some serious discussion later with the Jeff Hardy shit, the CM Punk shit, the Wembley Stadium chatter. So I want to start off a little lighthearted, man. The Photoshop heard around the world, right? Logan Paul recently has stated that he has re-signed with WWE during a hiring freeze, by the way. That was its own debate, its own discussion. So allow BC to decipher, when somebody's contract just runs out and they're waiting for a renewal, that's a little different than actually hiring new employees or hiring people onto a talent contract. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's still horrible optics, but when somebody's contract runs up, you're much more quicker to get somebody signed if you think they're of value than just bringing somebody new in. For instance, Jay White or FTR, all three of those gentlemen signing over with AEW. FTR re-signing with AEW, Jay White signing with AEW. And a lot of people are thinking, well, how did WWE pass the ball on them? Why did they choose AEW over WWE? Well, not so fast. Triple H and WWE management, they were told from the jump through the Endeavor machine, because this was obviously weeks in the making. And that was right around the time where Jay White and FTR is talking with WWE. Well, WWE put the kibosh to them. So they're out there saying, oh, well, we chose AEW because of X, Y, and Z. Not so fast. WWE actually had to pull back the reins on what they could even offer them. So it was actually WWE that kind of pushed FTR, pushed Jay White into the hands of Tony Khan and AEW. With Logan Paul, it was different. It was clear. This dude, he already was working on a contract. It expired. It was only a match-to-match type deal, almost Goldberg status. But once that thing came up, you saw, man, how much people were buzzing about his matches, how much people were talking about the potential this kid has. There was no way that you were not going to re-sign him, especially going into Saudi Arabia. You want him for the summer especially. You got the new partnership with UFC through Endeavor. And of course, Paul is already working with the UFC through his Prime energy drinks. So everything just made sense here. He's already working with UFC and Endeavor. WWE, he was just doing big business with them, had everybody buzzing. This made sense. So I want to nip that conversation in the bud. It's a little different than saying, all right, we're in a hiring freeze, but here we are re-signing Logan Paul. I totally admit the optics suck. It's not the best, but this was a deal that obviously had to be made. So, then we get to the photo, right? Logan Paul puts up this photo, Triple H retweets it or whatever, and it's just Triple H doing his famous or infamous point at whoever he's taking a picture with, and he's pointing at them, and you got somebody smiling awkwardly with either a contract or a new championship they just won. Well, everybody started to easily kind of make the comparisons between the last time he signed the first contract with WWE and this time. And they were kind of saying, well, wait a second. It kind of looks the exact same photo. You just switched up some colors. Cropped out a Stephanie. And it made your drink something else, right? A different color. And people quickly started to make those comparisons. And some people are like, nah, I mean, I see what you're saying, but no, this is wrong and this would be different. So Logan Paul goes on his social, and Logan says the following. This is a quote from Logan Paul. Some people are saying I photoshopped my new contract from the first time I signed with the WWE. That is just untrue. as you can see, my jacket is a different color. Stephanie McMahon is nowhere to be found, and Prime is a different flavor. Now, half of me thinks that he was just kidding around. He was just fucking with fans. Like, obviously, it's photoshopped. But let me have a little bit of fun here, right? Like, just by stating the obvious. Everyone's talking about a Photoshop photo, but as you can clearly see, my jacket's a different color, Stephanie's not in the picture, and my drink is a different flavor. It's almost like he's just fucking with fans by stating the obvious. But it would just be a false statement. The end of his quote says, "And Prime is a different flavor." For anybody wondering if this is a Photoshop, first of all, it is. BC has absolutely done all his due diligence. Every hair is the same on Logan Paul. I would say that about Paul Levesque, but Levesque doesn't have any anymore. But every hair to the way the watch is on Triple H's wrist, everything is the same, guys. But if you needed more proof, the energy drink, the Prime flavor that Logan Paul says is the same, is actually, or is different, is actually the same. They just changed the colors for optics. But if you zoom in on that flavor, they forgot that the flavor is on the package. They both say blue raspberry. So it's actually not a different flavor. If Paul said it's a different color, all right, he'd still be stating the obvious. He'd be correct. But because he said different flavor, Logan Paul did not zoom in. Logan Paul did not see that the one thing they forgot to Photoshop was the blue raspberry flavor. You switched it to yellow, but it's still blue raspberry, buddy. You're not pulling one over on the amplified unit. All joking aside, man, I wanted to start off with a little bit of humor. That's a little bit of a fun discussion going around in the wrestling world. Now, what is a more serious discussion with Jeff Hardy and CM Punk and Wembley, because that's taken on a discussion life form of its own. That's going to have to be talked about in a little bit. So that's why I want to start off lighthearted. You see how we did that? Before we get over to that serious conversation, we're going to talk a little bit Bray Wyatt and Alexa Bliss. A little bit of news on them. I'm hoping this is true just because you start to worry about Bray. He's been gone for a while. And whether you love Bray or not, you think you like the supernatural or you don't. We want the best for Bray Wyatt for sure. And to just abruptly be out like that and not have any word whatsoever, I mean, his fans started to get pretty concerned. Alexa Bliss, obviously with her recent health scare, luckily and thankfully, everything is good with her. And she's been gone for months. Well, the latest that BC is hearing is that both Bray Wyatt, and I'm not confirming together. That's not what I'm hearing at all. So I don't want anyone to get it twisted. I know they work together, and I personally would like to see them work together in the future. Whether that may be an unpopular opinion or not, okay. But both individually are supposed to be draft bound come next month. So both are going to be in the WWE draft. Both are draft bound from what I'm hearing. Bray Wyatt's name, Alexa Bliss's name. That's where you're going to see Cameron Grimes' name and other NXT talents that were supposed to show up Raw after Mania, by SmackDown after Mania, but it was clear that WWE had no intention on giving us a damn good show after Mania. If the trade wasn't completely off the track before, it's absolutely off the track now, and we don't even know how to put that train back on. WWE is completely lost right now, but looks like they're just saving everybody for this draft. But two names that really, when I heard that were supposed to be in this thing, are being talked about to be, is Bray Wyatt and Alexa Bliss. Those are the two names that really caught my attention when I heard this. So, again, it's early stage. We're weeks away still. But the fact that, and these are reputable people that are telling me what they are hearing, guys. Very reputable. If you follow the channel, you know exactly how reputable. So it's good to hear. Hopefully that doesn't change. I honestly hope if all is good, bring them back. They don't need to be in a draft. You don't need to wait 4 weeks. For Bray and Alexa, if you can't fit them into creative on a 3-hour Monday night or a 2-hour SmackDown, then you need your creative license revoked because you shouldn't be in the job anyway. And that includes 3 H's as well. I mean, if you honestly have nothing for Bray Wyatt or Alexa Bliss, what are you doing in that job, man? But good news, man. Whether you're fans or not, you want the best for them. And again, with Alexa's recent health scare and with Bray Wyatt and fans concerned with it, it'll be good to see them again and make sure everything is good. So that's the latest I got on Bray Wyatt and Alexa Bliss. Before I get over to the AEW talk, because that is going to be a bulk of today's podcast, over to NXT. This week's rating, it was a massive hit to this brand. They pulled its lowest rating ever on the USA Network. They came in this week at a 528,000 viewership. 528,000 viewers. That is down another 27,000 viewers from just last week, which was only 555. I mean, you start to think like you can't go any lower, because if you do, then you chop block another 25 off, another 25,000 block of viewers, and then you have nowhere else to go but the 400s, and now you're talking Rampage numbers, and we all know Rampage, cable-wise, is probably the worst show that you can have on television right now. And that's not saying quality, guys. I know a lot of AEW fans especially would be like, no, it's actually really good if you just watch it. No, we're not saying that. A lot of people even claim that NXT is really good. And when I tune into NXT, I see a lot of great stuff. And it's a shame that people are not giving it a chance. You could say the same about Rampage. That's fine. I'm saying, though, viewership-wise, for a show that comes on right after SmackDown, which pulls the highest rated television show for pro wrestling that there is, a 2.4 roughly, and you can only pull 400,000-ish. Sometimes you get close to that 5, sometimes you're in the 3s, and it doesn't help that they're always being preempted or put in another time slot because of other sports or programming. So Rampage just, it's the whipping boy, right? I mean, it's the poor stepchild that can't get the same love as every other sibling. And that's what Rampage is. But my point is that you don't want to start talking about Rampage numbers. I mean, when you're a WWE product like NXT is, and here you are, and this is what my concern was when they were at 555. I'm like, you got to find a way to get back up to 6+, because if you go backwards, you're going to be dangerously close to 400. I mean, you're going to be put into the Rampage category. And sure enough, that's what happened, guys. My concern was accurate, and they pulled 528. You're now around that 525 block. You go another, what'd they lose again? 27,000 this week. If you pull another 28,000 loss next week, you are right at 500 flat. You can't go any lower. It's 400 after that, guys. 400,000. Now, the big thing here is, for those saying that the NBA play-in game is what crushed them this week. BC, it's the NBA play-in game. It's like a playoff, BC. I know exactly what it is. Trust me. This is the first time in, it seems like forever, my New York Knicks are somewhat relevant in a playoff game this year. So I'm more in tune to what's going on in the NBA than ever before. Or for a long time, anyway. But to say that this game was a drastic reason why mass viewership left NXT, well, that would just be a flat-out lie, because the game itself only pulled 2.2, guys. 2.2. Shit, the Monday Night Raw, who pulls in atrocious ratings the last 10 years. Monday Night Raw after Mania pulled over a 2.2. That was more big than a play-in game. A 2.2 flat is what the play-in game got. So what do you want me to give you as a mulligan? There's no doubt that it affects NXT. But to just blame it or use that as a mulligan or an excuse, I don't do that for companies. It's got to be something massive for me to use that as an excuse. Now, if this game pulled a 4 or 5 million, okay, now I'll give you fucking 60, 75,000 fans maybe. I don't know if I'd give you 100,000 as a mulligan, but I'd give you some. With this, what do you want me to do? I'll give you 25,000 viewers back. Does that sound good? Because of this play-in game. So let's say I give you 25,000. Let's say I give you the full 27,000 that you lost from last week back, saying that this game caused them not to tune in this week. You're still at the 555, and you've been at 555 twice out of the last month. So there's no indication, no facts to tell me that you'd be any more than that 555. Nothing indicates that you would have pulled that much more than the 555. So that's still a drastic concern for NXT. And I feel bad for them because, again, I have a lot of my own amplified viewers. My right-hand man tells me how much better NXT is to a lot of wrestling today. And it's a shame that fans don't give it a chance. That sucks to hear. You have to find a way somehow, because this is drastically going backwards at an alarming rate. And at this point, something is going to have to change. Something is going to have to give. And that something might be it being taken off of the USA Network. Maybe it's better situated on WWE Network was a nice home for it. But now that it's on Peacock, and then it's about to be moved again, because I'm guessing the UFC WWE Endeavor merger / buyout is going to affect that, because they want to do their own streaming service down the line. So I don't know how NXT would fare without its sole WWE network, because it was fine on that platform. Peacock, man, I just feel it would be lost, and I don't know how Endeavor would utilize it. I don't know. NXT is in a whirl of hurt right now, and they're going to have to come up with some type of answer, because there's no care about, there's no buzz into it. And you know what doesn't help it, guys? That finish on Sunday night at WrestleMania took the buzz, took the air out of pro wrestling fans. Every show afterwards has just been a dud. The 2.2 plus that Raw pulled post-Mania was a dud. There's no reason they shouldn't have been at a 2.4, 2.5 bare minimum. A 2.2 plus? That's pathetic. SmackDown, which is usually around 2.4 as the best show, only pulled in a 2.4 with their post-SmackDown after Mania. And this past Monday Night Raw, one full week after Mania, was right back into the 1.8s. And I'm talking low, 1.818. So you literally lost the entire WrestleMania casual / lapsed audience. That entire WrestleMania crowd that comes back for this time of year, you were not able to save one viewer, basically. That's what that number tells us. There's no basically. You did not keep one viewer. In fact, you lost more. The go-home show to WrestleMania garnered 1.843. This past week, 1.818. So that tells us not only did you lose over 440,000 viewers of your WrestleMania audience, the whole audience, you also lost the 25,000 that were viewing going into Mania. You lost more than your WrestleMania audience somehow. Nearly 500,000 viewers were gone in a snap of a finger, blink of an eye for WWE. That is pathetically bad. That you could not keep your casual fans' interest for 1 week. 1 week! They were already gone because last week's show was so bad and the air was taken out of the room with the Cody Rhodes situation, and there's no reason for them to want to tune into SummerSlam to watch a redemption story 4 months later when we could have gotten it Sunday. There's no story to be told. The story is over. Now it's just redundant. Now it's lazy. Now it is not as exciting. There is no more Sami Zayn bloodline shit. It ended at Mania as it should have. Now we're going to try to expand it to Backlash and have a 6-man tag, just adding in Scooter McGee. That's pathetic. And Cody versus Brock for no reason. We don't know why Brock attacked Cody other than he didn't want to go on first, we're being told. So now you don't even have a title on the line. The champion's going to be sitting home sipping margaritas in Tampa, Florida, while everybody is putting on a show, and Cody Rhodes is making fucking towns in different countries, and he doesn't even have a title to fucking show for it. It's ass backwards. It's absolutely ass backwards. And to show you what a botched decision that was, you did not captivate an audience. Nobody is excitingly waiting for the future. Nobody's excited to see where the story goes. Nobody's hanging around to see where it goes because it was clear from minute one on Monday Night Raw last week that they didn't even know. WWE didn't even know where they were going. They just told us. They lied to us. The stories are going to continue. Be patient. No, they're not. It's already fucking lame. It's done. There is no more excitement. You passed up on Sami Zayn winning the title in Montreal. That's fine. But then you passed up Cody Rhodes at Mania with what would have been the biggest fucking moment. One of the biggest moments in Mania history. And you passed up Sami Zayn and Cody. For who? Who? There is nobody left. It's bullshit now. And we're going to play the same fucking redundancy. You know, I was down with the long title reign. I was down with Roman Reigns all the way up until Mania. The title change had to happen there. He's going home. Cody's going to tour around different countries. He needs the title. You got a match with Brock at the pay-per-view. Obviously, that has to be for the title. That's the whole reason Brock would attack Cody. Nothing makes sense because of that botch. And no, every fucking podcast going forward from here on out for a while, we might have to regurgitate that information because it seems that some fans still don't want to fucking process the fucking truth. My point in all this is it was a ripple down effect. The Raw after Mania 2.2 plus was a pathetic number. By the time you reach Dynamite, even with a Tony Khan announcement with the Wembley Stadium news, and Jay White's debut in AEW, re-debut, and the main event, all of it. They were only able to get 877,000 viewers last week. AEW couldn't even come close to 900,000. It was fan fatigue, fan exhaustion. Fans were just bummed out. Fans were just done. And it trickled down to AEW. NXT pulls 555. SmackDown pulls its average 2.4 for the post-SmackDown after post-Mania SmackDown, and they pulled their regular 2.4. And then this week's Raw, 1.8. I wouldn't be shocked if AEW, it wasn't a horrible show last night, I wouldn't be shocked if they didn't pull 900,000 again. I would not be shocked. Because the wrestling world is just, it just seems to be hurting right now, and it all started on that Sunday night in that botched decision. I've noticed that the whole wrestling world kind of took a hit from that botch. And my point in all this is I think NXT is suffering from that same thing. Not only there's a lot of people just not watching NXT, which is a shame, but I also think they took one of the biggest hits coming off of WrestleMania's big botch on Sunday night. I think NXT just took a fucking wabaka. To the most amplified of degrees. And here they are, fucking around with a 528,000 viewership. Them in Rampage right now, man. I'm going to keep a keen eye on those. I don't know how much longer the stations can keep them on. Because you can save yourself a lot of money by putting on reruns that can get you about 200 to 250,000 viewers. You could put on a block of Big Bang Theory, and they would bring in more viewers. So that's the point, guys. That's when you got to start thinking, because every show the network gives these companies tens of thousands of dollars. It's called a production fee on top of the rights fee, guys. So the rights fee is an initial amount, right? Like, for instance, Fox gives WWE $1 billion to run SmackDown, right? And then Fox will get all that back in ad revenue. The commercials that you see, that's Fox getting that money, not World Wrestling Entertainment. They already got the money from the network. Now the network gets to get all that back. All those commercials you see, and sometimes even more than usual, that's because Fox wants more money. They want that $1 billion back plus. But on top of that, guys, Fox, USA Network, TBS, TNT, they're also giving every single week, every show, there's a production fee that they will give to the company, AEW, WWE. For instance, we believe AEW's is between 40 and 50. We think NXT's is only 20 to 30. It's not that much. But it's money that USA Network has to give NXT every single week. Well, shit. That shit adds up, and by the end of the year, you could save all of that, hundreds of thousands of dollars, with a show that's only giving you 500,000 flat at best. And we're hoping they're still around 500,000 by December of this year. So I'm taking you guys behind the scenes a little bit. I'm pulling back the curtain on how ratings work, numbers, why networks are so vividly watching with a keen eye those numbers, statistics. For those that say ratings don't matter, why do you follow the numbers? Just enjoy wrestling. Well, first of all, you came to the wrong place. Clearly, this is a podcast about pro wrestling, so we talk about everything. And I just happen to be a big numbers guy. I'm a big ratings guy. I do my due diligence. I'm a fact checker, if you will. So you definitely came to the wrong place if you don't like talking numbers, because I want my audience to know why a show is being canceled, why another show is being added, what's the value of a show, how much is being put into it, what's the expectations. There's so many questions that have to go into every decision that's being made, and there's answers. Real answers need to be stemmed from those questions, man. We need answers, and if you don't have them, guess what happens, guys? Your favorite show? The plug could be pulled. And if you're wondering why, I love that show. Well, you didn't listen to BC, did you? I was telling you for months. Be on the lookout for X, Y, and Z. So that's my NXT talk. Now they are absolutely in a whirl of shit. They need to be careful, guys. If they lose another 27 to 28,000, they're on the brink of being into the 400,000s. And with no signs that they're going upward and in the right direction, that is a massive issue. Something needs to change down there, man. I'm hearing it's a really good show. When I see it, it's pretty damn good, to be honest. And it just, people don't feel like it's must-see TV. Something has to change. Anyway, got to move on, but it just sucks. You know, I feel NXT has all the potential in the world, and it's just like when WWE is going through a rough patch, when WWE is going through hard times, it just feels like the whole wrestling world kind of feels the effect. It trickles down. And that's what you're seeing, especially with Tony Khan going into August 27th, All In at Wembley Stadium. I'm sure Tony Khan would have loved to have seen the wrestling world happy as fuck last Sunday night when WrestleMania went off the air, and if the right decisions were made and the wrestling world was buzzing with excitement, I'm pretty sure Tony Khan would have loved that because it would have helped the buzz for Wembley Stadium. But the announcement was made so close to everybody still being so bummed out and the excitement not being there. So I'm sure Tony Khan would even love if WrestleMania went off better than when it did. But that's what I want to talk about now, guys. AEW All In, Wembley Stadium, Sunday, August 27th. You see, Wembley can hold roughly 90,000 wrestling fans to capacity. That's a lot of wrestling fans, man. 90,000 that place can hold. Of course, staging and setup can greatly alter that number, but for full transparency, WWE SummerSlam 1992 held a total capacity of 80,355 fans live. 80,355. Now, this number has been greatly disputed. Some fact checkers say that the number was more in the 75,000 audience range. However, many others feel like they lowballed the attendance, and it was actually greater than the stated 80,000 fans plus. Till this very day, that event remains one of the most disputed crowd attendances in the history of WWE. But one thing is for sure, it was around 80,000 fans live. So, this brings us to August 27th, 136 days away from this very recording, over 4 months from now, and the wrestling world is buzzing, debating, even arguing over how many tickets Tony Khan will actually sell. How many asses will AEW truly put in those seats? BC has stated if they put 50,000 fans into that stadium, success with 5 exclamation points. If they can put 50,000 asses into those empty seats, BC considers that a success. And honestly, if you're able to put 50,000 fans into that stadium, get out of there as if you just robbed a bank and don't look back. Because that is damn good. In fact, Matt Hardy also placed a 50,000 fan goal on the books, or at least believes they can do 50,000. So it's clear that a lot of the talent is thinking about that number as kind of that, not a ceiling by any means, and they definitely hope you can do more than that, But that's like that number where they can sit back with a martini and a cigar and just have a little bit of a smirk, a little bit of a grin, like, damn, we just did that. 50,000 seems about right. One person that is not participating in the back and forth ticket sale fan dialogue is Chris Jericho, bro. Jericho took a moment to rip apart those who believe that Tony may have bitten off more than he can chew. Jericho recently stated this message to naysayers, and I quote from Jericho, "Makes me laugh when critics already proclaim AEW All In at Wembley Stadium a failure. Nobody has any idea how many tickets we will sell except the fact checkers and promoters who've done their research. Once again, I expect a shitload of loudmouths to have their mouths shut." End quote. That, of course, just added fuel to the fire, and the debate was amplified from that point on, guys. So if that was supposed to put the fire out, it just added fuel to that fire. So now, with all of this chatter beforehand, Jericho raging that fire even more with his comments and talking about, I expect a shitload of loudmouths to once again... a shitload of loudmouths to have their mouths shut. Damn, and that's when people were like, all right, Jericho, I'm keeping this as a receipt, man. If you don't pull in, probably, I don't know what their number was, 50, 60,000. If you don't sell it, I'm keeping this as a receipt. And Jericho's like, do that, and I'll do the same. I mean, they were just going back and forth. So now the issue for Tony is the following. How do we bring in the most fans to fill those empty seats? And it's clear he's heading down the avenue of WWE heavy, right? CM Punk, Jeff Hardy. You saw Jericho in a main event last night with Keith Lee. That was by design. You're going to see more of that going forward. Their focal point is going to be on all the stars that you already know. Now, yes, that's going to hurt the company drastically because the whole point of AEW is all the stars you didn't know, but now you're going to know. But I totally get the mindset here. I mean, you're going to a place you haven't really been, and you're trying to get their attention to at least think about getting a ticket to attend the show. Well, how do you do that? You put names out there that they know. They know these names. So I get what Tony is doing, absolutely. However, some of these names are going to spark great debate for justified reasons. For instance, CM Punk. We're hearing that CM Punk and Tony Khan are going to rekindle, if they haven't already, conversations to bring Punk back. There's reports that Punk has brought ideas to the table of future things that he can do in AEW. And Dax, bless his soul, Dax Harwood. This guy goes to bed dreaming about CM Phillip Brooks Punk. Wakes up and with his cup of coffee is thinking, CM Phil Brooks Punk. This dude is always talking, but he needs to relax a little bit, man. Dax Harwood. Get some hardwood on Phil Brooks. I don't understand what this... I honestly believe, guys. I truly believe this. I think he's working for Phil Brooks. I'm not saying paid, but I think he is the vehicle. His podcast, Dax's podcast, is the vehicle to get everything that Punk wants out there. Just like the Young Bucks have David Meltzer and such, I think Dax and his podcast is Phil Brooks' vehicle. He is always talking about him, always talking about how we need to forgive Punk again, how Punk really wants to be back, how Punk loves wrestling, how Punk coming back is best for business, how he wants to tag team with Punk and Cash against the Elite in a 6-man tag, hopefully at Wembley. Everything is about Phillip Brooks. It is so tiresome. And you say, well, BC, then don't listen. Exactly. If you don't like it, just don't listen. Of course, I don't listen to the shit. when I'm going over my news stories, when I know or when I am putting together my set list, seg for seg for my podcast, I have to mull right over all of these Dax Phil Brooks stories. And I don't even know why they're stories. He's never going to stop talking about Phillip Brooks and how he loves him and he can't wait to have him back and he just wants to tag with him and have breakfast with him and cuddle with him. Man, get a room and ask him if he wants to. And if he doesn't show up, then Dax, it's not going to work out and he loves his wife too much, AJ Mendez. And look at AJ. Dax, you don't have a chance with Phil Brooks, bro. I honestly believe that whole debacle that Phil Brooks sent out on his Insta machine was a mistake. I don't think that was just supposed to be. I don't think that was supposed to be for the public, as a response to what Meltzer said. I think that was supposed to go over to Dax, and Dax has to now create a narrative from what CM Punk sent him, and trashing Mox and Jericho and calling AEW a sloppy shop. Basically, they wanted me to wrestle injured. And I said, no way am I putting my health over a company. And they wanted me to wrestle a guy who was not even under contract. So I'm injured. He doesn't have a contract, meaning Mox. Mox is coming up with stupid ideas. I'm laughing at it. And then I'm telling Tony, fuck you, I'm not going out there. That's basically what this post said. It sounds like that was meant for Dax. And Dax is supposed to create a narrative from all of that. Conjure up a spin. And then on his podcast, inform everybody of this. That's what I believe happened. I think this was meant for Dax. It accidentally went up on the stories. And it was immediately deleted, whether Brooks fucking realized that or Legal came right the fuck in. Legal was like, get that off. But Dax has his little podcast. I've noticed it's just become a vehicle to spew anything Phil Brooks wants out there. Or Dax really just gets a hardwood on for Phil Brooks, and that's just really uncomfortably, awkwardly, bizarrely not healthy. But he's gotta get Brooks' name out of his mouth, man. It is getting so tiresome. Phil Brooks coming back after all of this just to tag up with FTR? No, that doesn't excite BC. Sorry, not sorry. If it does you, that's totally fine. Golf clap. I'm giving you guys a golf clap. I'm not even shitting on you. If that excites you, that's fine. I don't need to see Kenny Omega in any multi-person schmaz match. Kenny Omega is a legit star, I feel. Kenny Omega, when he's by himself, it's just big fight feel. And if you're in Wembley Stadium, I would hope Kenny Omega has a fucking incredibly drastically over-the-top, amplified, booked match. Marketing-wise, promotional-wise, match-wise. Kenny Omega, like those New Japan Pro Wrestling matches before AEW was even created. Some Wrestle Kingdom type shit. And you're just stuffing them in a six-man. And Brooks comes back after all of this to be in a six-man to rub shoulders with his lover, Dax Harwood. No, I don't know. I don't understand the narrative that Dax is pushing. I don't. But it's clear that it's a possibility that Brooks comes back for the Wembley Stadium All In show August 27th. And of course, the discussion is on now. Is that, I mean, for people that think he's such a needle mover that they need CM Punk in Wembley Stadium. Well, I went over a podcast just a couple weeks ago, tops, maybe last week. But I went through a big portion of one of my podcasts recently. I actually went through the numbers with you guys. As a numbers guy, I did all my due diligence, my research. I really studied this hard. And I gave you guys the rating from when CM Punk debuted in AEW to when he left. And the average that AEW always gets. And I showed you guys that even though you may think he's a needle mover, ratings-wise, numbers-wise, he actually wasn't. And then I went through the actual pay-per-view buys when he's on them and the average for AEW. And I showed you it's not really a needle mover. He can be an attention grabber at times, no question. He can raise the attention meter. How's that? He'll move the needle there, right? Interest will peak at times. But I've shown you guys time and time again, and most recently in the most vivid of ways, that interest and attention that's peaked doesn't always translate into numbers. And that's what happened with Punk. Some heads may have turned. Eyebrows went up a little bit when you heard Punk and what he's doing, but it didn't translate into the numbers. And the ratings never actually went anywhere while Punk was there. In fact, dipping into the 900,000s, which is where they really resided with or without Punk most of the time. And then the pay-per-view buys. You see what they pulled, man, as according to the average of AEW. And that did not justify the turmoil that was in the company, in that locker room. The positives did not outweigh the negatives. Unfortunately, the negatives outweighed the positives. And now you bring Phil Brooks back for Wembley Stadium. Okay, maybe this is the time where it truly moves the needle for Wembley. But at what cost, BC would ask? At what cost are you willing to sacrifice the morale, the spirit of the locker room? Because, guys, we know for a fact there's definitely a handful, maybe two handfuls, that don't mind CM Punk. Several of them have come out and said he was nice to me, took us out to dinner, taught me some stuff. But the majority of the locker room has had enough with Brooks, right? To the point where it's going to take even more than a few company-wide meetings with Punk in attendance and some hugs and fake laughter, and everybody is supposed to be a hunky-dory, happy family. It doesn't work that way, guys. In a perfect world, it would, but it's going to take more than that. All the jabs, all the shit-talking, the bad vibes and feeling that Punk has brought to that locker room, and then the subsequent swinging back by everybody, even the women's locker room. You heard what Britt Baker had to say, throwing shade after shade over to Punk. Hangman Page tried to keep it all the shit that was talked about Hangman. Hangman pretty much kept his cool and didn't really retaliate. Mox told you straight out this is some high school drama bullshit. He's never even seen this type of drama. All because one dipshit stirred this up on social. That's what Mox said. Of course, he's talking about Punk. He called him what's his dick's name. He called Phil Brooks what's his dick. Mox not happy at all about what was said. Jericho has made it known 87 times how he feels about Brooks, eluding 3 times that he'll never work there again if it's up to him, but it's not up to him, and that's why you could see Brooks. We know how the elite feels about him, obviously, in their war. And it doesn't help when Brooks goes into the brawl-out media scrum and challenges the entire locker room if they don't like what he's saying. Well, of course, bodies are going to show up there, bro. My point is, guys, there's so many people that are put off by this guy, and they're saying that the morale is better in the locker room now. The spirits are getting back to what they were a little bit anyway, and now all of a sudden he comes back because you need to try to sell out Wembley. Well, you're not going to sell Wembley out, but you're going to try to pack it as best you can. And does Brooks' name help do that? BC says absolutely, possibly. I don't know by how much. I don't have enough. The data that I've went over so far, pay-per-view buys, metrics on ratings, the merchandise metrics, I'm not seeing anything that drastically moves the needle in most of the time at all. So I don't know how much UK is going to love Phil Brooks. Time will tell. It looks like that's a direction we're going in. At what cost, am I asking? Is that going to be worth your locker room having to pass by this guy all the time with phony smiles and just bad vibes internally? Because we know Phil Brooks was a toxic force in that locker room. And that's for CM Punk fans. You guys know that, I would hope, right? Like, for instance, BC will be transparent with you. I'm a huge Ultimate Warrior Jim Hellwig fan. Massive Ultimate Warrior fan. I'll be the first to admit he was the hardest one to get along with backstage. You've heard enough of every locker room that worked with him tell you that. You've heard stories with vivid details. You know that. You've heard Warrior himself talk about how he presented himself and why he did what he did. He was an asshole. Still one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, man. The reason I'm still talking pro wrestling to this day, one of the biggest reasons, along with Randy Macho Man Savage, is the Ultimate Warrior. But I'll be the first to admit, he'll be the first to admit, he's difficult to work with. He made it about himself more times than not. Had the trust issues, kept a small circle. That's not always a great thing in pro wrestling when you're trying to get along to go along and go along to get along, if you know what I mean. Phil Brooks is in the category, man. He might not be as big of an asshole as a Jim Hellwig Ultimate Warrior, but guess what? Guys, he's in the category, man. Every bridge he comes across and ends up burning behind him. And when you turn around and see the bridge that you just walked off burning, and you see that time after time, at what point are you the common denominator? You're the one burning the bridges, whether you're trying to or not, intentional or unintentional. Consciously or subconsciously. You're still burning the bridges. You're still pissing off the majority of every locker room you're in. At what point are you the common denominator? If you're a Phil Brooks CM Punk fan, I hope you would understand that, right? Just like I fully admit as an Ultimate Warrior fan, the dude was hard to get along with, and the dude absolutely burned his own bridges and made it harder on himself just by the way he was. As a Phil Brooks fan, I hope you would say the same thing that BC would say about his favorite Ultimate Warrior. You would say, yes, Phil Brooks does not help himself at all, and it makes a lot of people uncomfortable around him and don't want to be around him. They think he's a douche, an asshole, a prick. We've heard enough locker rooms, not just people, say that. So again, my question is, will he help the Wembley ticket sales? There's a great possibility. At what cost is it worth infiltrating the AEW locker room with another lethal dose of poison? Or are we going to play the same game that we've been playing for the longest time? It's a vicious cycle. He comes back after a while. It's been a while, so everyone's happy to see him, and we all talk about turning over a new leaf, and this is a different Punk, and he found his smile, and the locker room is all fucking skipping into the shows. They're skipping into the arenas. They're all eating chocolate chip cookies with cocoa all together. They're all reading bedtime stories after the show at the hotel. It's a fucking hunky-dory happy family. And then a few months later, we find out Brooks is not happy. As he said in the Brawl Out media scrum, he's older, he's miserable, he's injured, he's this, he's that, and everybody has to feel the effects of a pissed off Phil Brooks. Are we going to be talking about that in 6 months to 9 months? Is it going to take 3 to 5 months? Because so far, we just see the vicious cycle playing out time after time. At this point, it is rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat. And that takes me over to another superstar wrestler that just showed up last night, back in AEW. Of course, I'm talking about Jeff Hardy. Now, this is a special case, right? Jeff Hardy is a guy who many people thought, okay, he's going to prison for a while now, right? You never want to see somebody go to prison, but sometimes prison can help, right? It can help the individual save themselves, not just society, themselves. Right? I know a lot of people, they went to jail and it saved them. It corrected them. Think about it, right? House of Corrections is what a prison is called. Well, they've been corrected, right? Sometimes you have to go away. And especially if you're committing crimes, especially if it's the same one over and over and over. You know what that is? Slapping on the wrist. Slap on the wrist, slap on the wrist, slap on the wrist. And here you are 5 arrests later. And a guy who many people thought was finally going to prison, which, again, we love Jeff Hardy, and we want the best for him. But I think we all came to a crossroads, no pun intended. We all came to the point where we were like, all right, you know what? He's got to go to jail to save himself. And honestly, as sad as this is to say, society. Because the way he's being reckless, he's going to take many, many lives with him. That's not good. So we thought, okay, this time he gets prison time. Not only does he not get prison time, he gets another slap on the wrist. And this guy just 9-10 months later, once the court case cleared, which was just a few weeks ago, he's back in AEW. Jeffrey Hardy is not in a prison. He's in AEW doing the same thing, his own vicious cycle. And we're hearing the same thing, right? The people close to him like, Matt, it seems like a changed man, and he's really focusing on the sobriety. I think this is going to be much better. And the fans are like, well, I don't mind it. As long as he stays sober, this is okay, man. He deserves to do what he does. No, he doesn't deserve. He lost that. He does not deserve shit. What are you talking about? We love Jeff Hardy. He is a great, great person in many aspects. But when you do what he did time after time after time, you become a selfish prick. And that's sad to say because he is a genuinely good personality dude. But when you make it all about yourself like that, and you no longer, it's not just about you and protecting yourself, but now you're fucking with everybody around you on those roads. No, you don't deserve another shot at AEW. You don't deserve to walk the fucking sidewalk outside of your house at that point. What you deserve, what you need, what you have to get at that point is prison time. BC speaks about this so passionately because I've been in those shoes. And on the flip, I have seen many, and I do mean many. I have had many friends pass away from that type of stupid shit. No longer with us. That's why this matters to a lot of people. If you guys don't have close stories or things like that, then okay, to you, this is nothing. I don't understand what the big deal is. All right, he went through the court process. He's okay. Tony wants him back. He's ready to go. It's no problem. I think he's going to be fine this time. But we said that time after time. Do you guys realize the past few arrests, he's been driving without a license, drunk. Driving without he's committing so many felonies time after time, guys. It's not just like one time, right? You say, well, BC, yeah, people deserve a second chance. No question. If BC didn't get a second chance, wouldn't be here now, bro. I'll tell you that right now. A second chance is if you're going to make the same mistake twice, that's a different story. But a second chance, like somebody just looking at you and going, you know what, you done fucked up. You deserve a second chance. I know we believe in you. Just don't fuck up again. No doubt people deserve a second chance. A third chance? You're pressing it. Under extremely different situations. Okay, a third chance, right? Times are rough. You fucked up massively again. No problem. Okay, a third chance. No. A fourth. A fifth. No, now you're literally just saying you're all enablers. I can get away with anything and let's just keep rocking this, man. I mean, this is pretty easy peasy, lemon squeezy, as Oscar would say. This is pretty not bad. I can do whatever the fuck I want. I can't drive because I don't have a license. I can't drive when I'm driving. What are you talking about? I absolutely can. I would go through some legal battle. I pay off my lawyers. I get a slap on the wrist, and I'm right back to work. This isn't about a second chance, a third, a fourth, a fifth. This guy has been arrested numerous times, but on top of that, his past few arrests, he's already had a suspended license. Could you imagine that? The law tells you cannot drive. Your license is suspended. If you do, massive repercussions. Not only does he drive without a license, he continues to drive without a license drunk. I can't even fathom what I am even saying, but this is what happens time after time. And do you know what just happened yet again? This isn't the first, second time, third. He got another slap on the wrist. And the judge said, all right, but now we really mean it. We really mean it. Stop driving on that suspended license. And seriously, man, stay away from the bottle. And Jeff's like, okay. And that's it. That's what. Do you realize if this was you, anybody else, you're going away for a while. 5 fucking arrests several times on the same fucking charges, putting lives at risk, including your own. You'd already be in jail. It's to save him first and foremost. If you truly love Jeff Hardy, I'm telling you right now, I've seen this shit firsthand. I've been a part of this shit firsthand. To save yourself, sometimes it's the drastic extremes. That would have been good for him to go away. And instead, he gets another slap on the wrist. He's right back to work. And people are like, this time it's going to be different. How do you figure? Every time he comes back and wrestles, he batters his body. He's miserable. He has to take shit to feel better. That leads to other bad decision making, and which leads to horrible consequences. And the only end line here, guys, is either prison or death. It's just a matter of which is going to come first. And is it just going to be him who puts his car into another guardrail and tree? Because that's already happened, by the way. If you have not followed this, guys, like BC, he's already put his car into a guardrail / tree. He's wrecked a car. Flip that motherfucker. Luckily, it wasn't into another vehicle. Somehow he survived. Went back and did the same thing 2 more times. One of those just recently. It's just a matter of, is that going to happen again and he takes his own life? Or is the accident going to be so brutal that he ends up taking out other people on that road? That's what it comes down to, man. I don't think people see that, and everyone's just like, yeah, this is great, man. Jeff's back. Everyone needs to relax. He deserves a chance. No, he doesn't. Not anymore. Absolutely, he does not. Absolutely, he does not. No human being deserves this many chances without any fucking day in jail, or should I say prison. Jail is a holding. He's been there. Prison is when you're sentenced because you committed a crime. He keeps committing the same ones. And I mean ones with an S, multiple, and the same fucking ones. And we slap him on the fucking wrist. That's fine. You get him for Wembley Stadium, you get the big name. If I hear in the future that lives were taken from his horrible, horrendous, tragic decision-making, then that's on everybody that enabled it. I said this last time when he got arrested. I will no longer call Jeff Hardy matches. I meant that, and I still will not. It doesn't matter what match he's in at Wembley Stadium or going forward. I will never call or critique or go over a Jeff Hardy match. I want the best for the dude. Much love and respect to him if he has indeed finally changed. But we're far off from ever knowing if he truly did. And 9 months, 10 months after this latest incident, just because the court case is cleared a couple weeks ago and he's already back? No, it's going to take a lot more than that. And that's why people say that Tony Khan's running a sloppy shop. He doesn't care who's in those locker rooms. If he can try to pop a rating of 10,000 more fans, or maybe get 3,000 extra seats because Jeff Hardy's going to be there. Bro, if you truly, I'll give you my honest assessment on this. If I'm running a promotion, Jeff Hardy, is not, he's not allowed to wrestle in my organization. Will he be a part of it? Maybe I can have him on commentary here and there. Maybe I can find roles for him, maybe backstage. But he's not taking bumps because I know where it leads, right? We have his history to tell us that. We see his vicious cycle and trajectory time after time, and there is not one bit of information. There is not one bit of detail. There is not one iota that we can confirm that there's any inkling of change on the horizon. There's nothing that we can see in the way Jeff Hardy lives life that there's change on the horizon. We're hoping we're wrong. But under no circumstance would I ever allow him to be close to a wrestling ring in a wrestling capacity. Nope. I would have to look at the human being at that point and try to help him as much as I can. And that means not fucking destroying your body even more. And in the process, not putting lives in danger, including yourself. I would have to at some point step up when nobody else is, because it's clear nobody else is. We're all playing the same thing, the same damn game. He's a grown man. He paid the price, and he paid the consequences, and the law decided. No, he did not pay any price. He did not pay the consequences. He paid not one consequence, other than he got arrested because he got caught driving on the suspended license time after time after time. So he had to pay his own money for the legal fees. Oh no, he had to spend time with this dark cloud over him before he could go back and wrestle. Oh no, I feel so bad for Jeffrey Hardy. He paid no fucking consequence. That's the sad part. And here he is, and the vicious cycle continues. Sadly, I know how this ends. I'm just hoping that we don't have to see that ending. I really hope that Tony knows what he's doing here. If he ever returned to wrestling, you would think it would be a long time. And I know he'd be another year older, 2 years older, who knows. But like a real life evaluation, a total change in what you're doing, to come right the fuck back way less than a year after it all happened again. I can't fathom the horrible decision-making that has been taking place time after time after time with this guy, and that goes right up to the judicial system. How he is not in a fucking prison cell right now is beyond me. It is beyond me. I know people that have gone for years on a fucking on a second DUI. And this dude is fucking driving on a suspended, fucking drunk off his ass time after time after time after time after time. Nothing. Fucking slap, go wrestle, and behave next time. Yes, ma'am. I can't believe it. But looks like he is brought in because Tony Khan is thinking, fuck, I announced Wembley Stadium. Fuck, I gotta at least bring in 50,000. Fuck, it's hard to bring in 50,000. Fuck, what do I do now? Well, you can bring in that lethal dose of poison back into your locker room and inject it right into your locker room in the form of Phillip Brooks, and you can bring in a very, very dangerously, in terms of decision-making, human being like Jeff Hardy. And you can risk your company and the worst publicity you could ever think of if things turn drastically south. If the headlines next time are even more drastic for the next Jeff Hardy arrest, good luck, Tony Khan, finding sympathy. That's BC's words on this, man. The talk of Phil Brooks coming back and Jeffrey Hardy already back. It shows you that Tony Khan is in a panic mode. He knows the severity now of Wembley Stadium and announcing Wembley Stadium this young into his company's inception. While he's only pulling in 850 to 900,000 U.S. ratings. It's not that good at all. I mean, he's struggling to hit 1 million, especially consistent. But even every now and again hitting 1 million, he's struggling to do that. And you're now going to produce a show in Wembley, and I think the panic got to him, and now he knows, shit, it just got real, man. And I don't care what the scenario is, the situation, the backlash, the poor headlines, the negative headlines. I got to get as many names, valuable names as possible to be on this show. And I think that's what you're going to start seeing that as we go down the line the next several weeks. Again, we are from the recording of this podcast 136 days away, over 4 months. So you're going to see a lot of major names, man. Imagine if you saw Goldberg. I mean, that's the opposite of what AEW is supposed to stand for. But I'm sure fans will be like, I love this decision, right? Because you can't call it out, man. We can say if it's WWE, it's bad. But if it's over in All Elite Wrestling, we got to say it's glorious, right? If Nia Jax appears in AEW, we're going to act like it's the best thing since the BC podcast or sliced bread. When the Big Show showed up, there wasn't a lot of, oh, really, bro? Whoa. That's who we have in AEW, Tony? No, everybody was kind of like, well, it could work. I mean, I think it's because of Vince the Big Show didn't work. No, well, kind of. The second he was labeled the Big Show, he was already DOA. But in 2023 or 2021, whenever the fuck this guy signed, and then he immediately went on the injured reserved list. But nobody was thinking, well, the Big Show, he needs to be in AEW. You know what I mean? But you didn't hear a lot of backlash to it. You heard just a lot of people coming to Tony's defense. I think this is a great signing. All right, we'll keep that same energy when it's a Nia Jax or a Goldberg. And the same shit you said in WWE, keep that same fucking energy, bro. But at this point, Tony is in panic mode. I think he's going to try to get anybody that's available with name value. Now, what I want to end it with, guys, is actually sticking with AEW, Powerhouse Hobbs, Wardlow. This is a hot debate in the wrestling world right now because I thought this was a pretty good angle last night. Hobbs is in the arena doing his thing, and out in the parking lot, Wardlow has a steel pipe and like a valet stand, and he's beating the shit out of Wardlow's car, his custom-made car. And I thought this was great. I just love when they do parking lot shit, guys. You know what I mean? Like take the camera out, even if it's something we've seen a billion times, like somebody destroying the other's car. Okay. But it's with hopefully different characters, different setup. Hey, let's do it, man. It's a break from the ring. And Wardlow then gets a forklift, and he takes it right through the fucking windshields and the windows, and this forklift is tipping over the fucking car with Wardlow driving it. I just love those type of segments. And the funniest part is when Wardlow jumped off, he never put it in park. So the forklift goes forward right into into Hobbs's car. I don't know if that was by design or he literally just was so amplified he forgot to put it in park, because he did turn around. It would have been funnier if he kept walking and he let the forklift drive into Powerhouse's car because he didn't put it in park. You know what I mean? Like somebody who lights a match, turns around, the whole place explodes, but the villain never looks back, or the hero, he never looks back, right? And it's got that slow motion walk while everything burns behind him. This could have been one of those things where Wardlow walks off and the forklift keeps driving into Powerhouse's car. But Wardlow actually looked back like, oh shit, did I let that thing go? So I don't know if that was by design, but it was funny to see him get out and the forklift just kept going. So that was funny. Point is, I love that whole segment. Now here's where the debate in the community is, and this is why a lot of people can't get behind it. And BC totally understands. I've been an advocate of trying to get Wardlow booked properly. And this last time, after winning the TNT Championship, and then about 3 days later, I believe, he loses it back over to Hobbs. Or he won it from Joe, correct? And then Hobbs took it, something like that. I don't know. They played hot potato for a couple of months, like 6 different times. But this latest time, I was like, with QT Marshall's help, I was like, no, that's it, man. And then he was gone for the 6 weeks. And everyone was like, what the fuck? He only got powerbombed a little bit off the stage. He didn't even go through the platform. It was a botch. So he was supposed to go through this whole play. It barely cracked the surface, and that took him out for 6 fucking weeks. Nobody believed it, guys. And BC told you guys, man, that might have been the last straw for a lot of fans. I don't know how you can dig him out of that hole and make people believe in him again. It's going to be really hard to do. And that's why even after that really good segment, I feel, loved it, man. They got a little creative, even though it's something we've seen a bunch of times. I get it. But it still takes creativity. It still takes the setup. It still takes money, investment of your time and attention. That's why I love those type of segments. It shows me the company gives a fuck about what they're doing. The problem is a lot of fans are just talking about how it's too little, too late. They have butchered the booking of Wardlow so badly that even that segment last night did nothing for the majority of the fans. And guys, I cannot blame them. That is why I say be careful how you're booking. Because it might be just a few weeks or a few months to a lot of fans. Oh, no harm, no foul. It'll get better down the road. If you are too bad for so long, you're going to have to work 100 times as hard plus just to dig out of the hole that you were put in. Never mind trying to get over with everybody. You're going to have to work 100 times plus as hard just to get out of the hole that was dug for you and that they placed you in. And that's where Wardlow is now. He's trying to just dig out of the fucking hole that he's in. Once he's done that, if good booking proceeds going forward, or keeps going forward, if he gets good booking, then maybe he can finally be above ground again and have dug himself out of that hole. And then and only then can he start the process of trying to get over again. What BC is saying is good luck. I mean, the rest of 2023 is going to be spent, even with pristine booking for Wardlow. The rest of 2023 will be spent trying to make him relevant again, because that's how much damage you have done to Wardlow and subsequently the fans that supported. My name is BC Amplified. This has been the Amped Up Podcast with BC Amplified, of course, for Thursday, April 13th, 2023. I appreciate every single one of you guys, man, especially every single one of you that have stayed the entire podcast from minute one, probably well over an hour by now. This was for you guys, man. Again, we're cross-country right now. We have a lot of traveling to do over the next week, but you guys are definitely going to be getting a lot of content. Tomorrow, we hope to do another Friday, the 14th of April podcast, Amped Up. So be on the lookout. It'll be up in your subscription boxes. So, of course, make sure you're still subbed and the tube did not take you off. Always smash that up. Always, more than anything. Think, be, live, amplified always. There's no exceptions. You have to always be amplified, especially my card members, my gold card members, my channel members, my gold team. You guys have to be, because that's a prerequisite to be a channel member. So that's definitely not an option. But I also ask every single participant in my red team amplified unit to always catch yourself if you're not amped up. You know, if the shoulders are slouched, if you kind of are down on your luck, no. Pump out those delts. Get that chest out. Put that head up and be amplified. That's right. All right, guys. Till next time, which again, hopefully is tomorrow, man. We're coming right back at you with some more fucking podcast action, man. But until then, top guy, I'm out. BC saying check you.